Hello everybody and welcome to Dynamic GT League's Expo Championship for Race 3 from Blue Moon Infield B. It's a new circuit we've not used in DGT before, so let's have a quick look at the track map. Turn 1 is Toe's turn, which will lead into a flat out kink left, a flat out kink right, into nasty car corner, and then into a flat out heels. Very short, very quick it will be. Quick look at current standings. Steve F1 leading the way, 4 ahead of Demon R, who's 1 ahead of Conrad. SGP's in 4th, Twilight 5th. Dave the Harp tied with Rich Blues and Bunsel for 6th. Formula Gary's in 9th with Jason in 10th. SRI sitting in 11th place with Mitch in 12th. Hey tied 13th with Fluffy Planet, and then we've got 15th is Jimmy, and his 16th is Art Pal. Art Pal's potentially not going to be able to race in this championship, given he's still recovering from the broken shoulder. Fluffy unable to race today, as is Mitch and SRI looking after ill family members. Okay, so let's take a look then how the rest got on in qualifying for Blue Moon Infield B. And on pole position, once again, we've got Demon R with a 57.030. But look how close it is to Twilight in second place, 0.002. Could barely be any closer. Well, it could be 0.001. So, yeah, unlucky Twilight. Steve F1 very close behind them as well, with SGP joining them on row 2. Row 3, we've got Dave the Harp, who will start alongside Conrad. And then on row 4, we've got Jason, who starts alongside Rich Blues in 8th place, only half a second off the leader. Good time there from Rich. Bunsel will start in 9th place on row 5, alongside Formula Gary in 10th. And then we've got Hay in 11th and Jimmy in 12th. Got to say, the whole grid within 1 second. It's going to bode for a very close race. Or is it going to be chaotic? Or is it going to be mayhem? Or is it going to be carnage? Or is it just going to be a boring oval? Well, there's only one way to find out, isn't there? Let's hand over to our commentators. So here we go then. We're at the Blue Moon for the new version of the circuit. And on commentary with me this week, it's Raymond. How are you, Raymond?
I'm not too bad. How's yourself?
I'm Fandabidozy as the lights go out and away they go. Demon R on pole position and he's still holding on to first place. Also, Jimmy's had a cracking start on the pack cam. Steve F1 closing in on Demon R. Twilight started second. Is he going to hold on to that second place? He is.
I don't think so. If he's on the outside, Steve F1 could get no.
Oh, he's done it.
I'll just go back home.
Yeah. Well, interestingly enough, Ray, because you were there for qualifying, you may not know that Twilight was rapid around this track, and he's actually looking a bit quicker than Demon R at the moment. And we have got the pack cam with us once again. And just a reminder that we are on a track that we've never driven before in the DGT League, and the drivers have just gone through nasty car corner where we mentioned we may see a few cars hitting the barrier and perhaps collecting other drivers as well. Twilight's in a brilliant opportunity here to slipstream or bump draft Ray.
I know, he's pulling out. He's not wanting bum draft, he's wanting Demon R to bum draft him. As we get Steve F1 closing in a wee bit in the back, he's got SGP behind him as well.
That he has. Demon R taking quite a wide entry into Toes. Twilight holding on to the first place. A nice move from him. I say we've not raced around this track before, Ray. We haven't, but we have raced around a few of the corners here as Demon R getting very close to Twilight, but I don't think he'll be attacking down into nasty car corner, because it's one of those corners, Ray, where there's not much point overtaking into it because you'll probably end up being slow, but at the same time people may find himself in that situation. Steve F1's got a good run out of the corner. He's already passed Demon R.
Yeah, so he must have went a wee bit slower in and fast out, as they say.
Like a virgin on.
I was
going to say like a virgin on prom night. Slow in, fast out. Okay, so Steve F1 then up to second place, looking at the pack cam as well. Dave the Harp's got Conrad right behind him.
Wide.
Oh, Twilight taking a very wide entry into one. Demon R retaking first place, is he? No, just second place for the moment. All 3 wide into the kink. This could be tricky. This could be nasty. Oh, I think Steve F1 just backed out of that one. Probably a wise thing to do. Oh, someone in the background just clumped the wall.
Come up beside him now. because he had to back out of there, it slowed him down, so he's trying to defend from SGP. Where did Dave the Harp come from?
Yeah, well, I think Steve F1 lost the position to Dave as well. Yeah, and Steve F1 is plummeting. He's got Conrad latching onto the back of him now, although he's given him a bit of a bump draft. So it's unfortunate for Steve F1. He backed out a little bit to sort of live to fight another day, and he's ended up plummeting a bit. Twilight, though, leads the way. And we can now say that it is a situation Twilight has found himself in before. Also, I need to mention, Demon Oz retaking the lead down into one. I don't know if he was going for the move on the pack cam. I think they may have caught the cameraman out there. I don't think he was going for the move. I think he should potentially, I was going to mention this, Ray, that we have driven a couple of...
Side-by-side stuff. Yeah, this is awesome.
It is. Ooh, into the kink. Oh, into Nasty Car. I think Twilight's backed out of that one. Fair play. See, he doesn't want to go side by side through Nasty Car. He wants to get the corner right and then be as fast as he can as the pack comes through as well. But yeah, so Toe's turn. It is a corner we've driven around many times on different layouts of this circuit. And as we know, Ray, there are a number of different lines that drivers may take into that corner. Looking on the pack cam, Twilight's gone for the bump draft. Maybe he's decided it's time to try and break away from the rest of the field because it's easier to battle one car than it is 12. But yeah, looking at it, Twilight and Demon are two different lines going into turn one at the moment, as we see Dave the Harp with all of his multiple colours.
Yep, it's like, what do you call him, Robin at a Batman?
And it's meant to be United Colours of Benetton, not Robin. Go on, Dave, stick a big R on the car. It's not for rookie, it's for raging. Gary coming under a bit of pressure from Hayes. Someone got a bit wobbly there. I've got to mention as well, I was corrected in the week, and I have to give out an apology to Conrad. He has won races in DGT League. I just had completely forgotten. He's won a couple apparently. Okay, Twilight bump drafting once again. Demon Eyes, you see, I don't think Demon Eyes going defensive here. I think he's just taking that lower line into the corner, as SGP has as well in third place. Conrad battling with SGP there as the drivers make their way around the exit of Toes, and then we're into a flat out kink, which could be tricky side by side, Ray, because there's a little bit of wall that sticks out just there. And someone in the background has just collected it, I think.
Yeah, you don't want to hit that wall. It's not as, you don't have to get as far over to the left hand side after it as we would normally if we were doing the Infield A.
That is true.
So, but you don't want to drift too wide either, or else it is that nasty wall. As we see Jason catching on the back of that pack there as Twilight's look for it. He's on the pack cam.
And now he's on the main screen. Go on. Oh, he's ahead before the corner. But yeah, here's the two different lines again, look.
Yeah. Twiligh's just held on, trying to follow Demon R's line.
Yeah, Conrad just went for a double switch back there on SGP and Jason. It very nearly worked, but now he's got Dave the Arp and Steve F1 harassing him. Jason nearly collecting that barrier. He's got a decent run on SGP here. Is he going to go for the move into Nasty Car? Side by side they go. That's going to compromise them. You see SGP's backed out of it, and that compromises him less unless he collects the barrier on the exit of Nasty Car. We will see cars do that.
Yeah, especially when the tyre starts to wear down and the back end kicks out a wee bit more.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned about it.
Even if the front tyres go down a wee bit and you get understeer.
Is Demon R looking for the move? I think he wasn't. He is going for the move into one. There's my new word of the day.
Is Twilight getting the switchback? No, I don't think so, but he might have to run.
He might do. I don't know if he'll attack though. He could get up alongside. Yes. Here he is, yeah. See if he's going to go for it up the inside. No, he's tucked in behind. So, yeah, he's not going to go for it into Nasty Car. Jason now in third place with SGP behind him, and then Dave the Harp. I must admit, Demon R and Twilight have opened up quite a gap to the pack now, you know. They're not within slipstream range of the pack, that's for certain.
Yeah, they're what, couple of seconds?
Yeah, it looks like, yeah, it's about that. It's difficult to tell on the track map, I've said before, because of the gaps.
1, 2, 3.
3 seconds, that's not bad. So Twilight not going for the move on this occasion. Jason coming under pressure. SGP using that lower line. I was going to mention as well, yeah, the tyres. Okay, turns out that this track is actually a bit of a tyre killer, right? I don't think we're going to see anybody doing a non-stop here. In the 30-minute practice that was held a few days prior to the race, 30 minutes wasn't really doable on the tyres. So I think we'll be seeing 1 or 2 stop races here from everybody. And if you slide in a bit like Dave the Arm there, you're probably going to be leaning more towards the 2 stops. It's the rear right tyre that takes the most punishment around here, mainly because of turn 1 toes, and then final corner and Nasty Car. But yeah, the final corner does put a lot of pressure on it. Twilight bump drafting Demon R once again up at the front as Conrad has found himself under pressure from Gary and Rich Blues as Dave the Harp is now attacking Jason. Oh, 2 different lines nearly come together.
I was closer, Jason just seen that at the corner of his eye there.
Yeah. Twilight's good for the move. He's going to back out of it, surely, isn't he? He did last time on the pack cam with Jason's attacking Dave.
Yeah, it's just that kink, what it is. It's given Demon R that be extra shorter line to Nasty Car corner when compared to Twilight being out on the outside.
Absolutely, Twilight will get a decent slipstream here though, and I think they're opening up the gap, you know, to third place. Maybe because every time there's been somebody in third, they keep having a bit of a fight. Someone's into the pits. Steve F1 is into the pits. You know what? 2 other people have pitted as well. And I'm hearing as Jason's trying to fend off Dave the Harp, Jimmy pitted 2 laps ago. SGP pitted 1 lap ago. So SGP's pitted early. Steve F1 has pitted. Oh, Jason's put himself in the wall. Yeah. Oh, Dave is making the move, is he? Yep.
And I think Conrad's looking to do the move back there on. Who's he fighting? Gary?
Yeah, he's battling with Gary. Dave's Jason's right behind him. Connor there as well. Connor trying to break away from the little gaggle. Steve F1 has come out of the pits and is in dead last. He's just going through the first kink now. So he's got Jimmy ahead of him and SGP ahead of him. I mean, that's early-ish. 10 minutes in, that would be leaning towards a 2-stop strategy. Twilight bump drafting Demon R once again as Jason into the pits. Rich.
And Rich Blues.
Yeah.
Soul.
Interesting. Well, like previous races, Ray, with Demon R's had a bit of a mare at toes, and Twilight's got a run on him already.
It was on the marbles coming out that corner.
Ah, that it was. Twilight through he goes. So I was going to say, I've completely forgotten, so I'll say this. When lightning strikes the sea, why don't all the fish die?
Why not?
Neither do I. Because if we stood in water and the water was struck by lightning, we'd die. Something to ponder on.
Why?
No punchline for that, Ray. Don't worry. They're coming. Okay, so Demon R and Twilight still leading the way. Twilight got a little bit of a gap on Demon R. Demon R taking that tighter way into turn 1. Seems to work for him. I think, to be honest, it's about the balance of the car going through that first corner, because the wider you come into the corner, the bigger a bump you're going to get off the slope. So, what have we got then? Dave the Harp in third place, Conrad still in fourth. Everything getting a little bit spread out at the moment, apart from the leaders race. So, What do you call an egg laid by an evil chicken?
Would you call an egg laid by an evil chicken?
Yeah. A deviled egg. You're a chef, so you know what a deviled egg is. I ain't got a clue what a deviled egg is. Demon R bum drafted Twilight. Hay isn't heading to the pits. Somebody was ahead of him, though. Formula Gary is into the pits, and here's SGP with Jimmy just ahead of him. So these were the first two to pit. Demon R right up Twilight's rear wing. So SGP, what position are they in? 5th and 6th. So the early pit stop has kind of worked for Jimmy and SGP, but I think they're both going to have to stop again unless they're going to try and go to the end. But that's a 30-minute run. It's not going to be easy to do as Jimmy nearly scrapes the barrier. But interestingly, Ray, they've already almost caught back up to Conrad, who's just going through Nasty Car now.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. Because when Conrad pits, is Conrad pit? I don't think he's pit, has he?
No, he hasn't, no.
So that's going to put him at the back of the field, and then he's got to fight his way in as somebody goes in the pits. Is that Dave the Harp?
No, it's Conrad. Yeah, you were talking about Conrad.
We'll see where he comes out and how much of a battle he has to put through.
Yeah, well, not only that, because SGP and Jimmy are now 4th and 5th, and here's that battle going on with Steve F1, who has also pitted. I think if the leaders pit, they're coming out behind these guys. But how long are the leaders going to go? We've got two very different races going on here, folks. We've got the leading pair that have been kind of working together a bit by the looks of it. They've completely broken away, but strategy could catch them out here. SGP is the leader of the cars that have pitted now. So what can... Jimmy scraping the barrier. Steve F1 takes evasive. Manages to just get past him. I said we'll see cars do that, and we definitely have. So Jason has also pit. David Harp is into the pits now as well. I think this is
cost time as well.
It is, but Demon R up the inside once again. The two lines converge, and Twilight stays ahead. I think Twilight may have been caught out a little bit.
I think Demon R lifted there. I think there was a wee bit of slight contact, and he's lifted and said sorry.
Maybe. I mean, maybe that's... Well, I could say maybe that's something we could talk about in the G-Spot. Maybe it's something... Well, I don't know. It's one of those corners, though, isn't it, where if you're going to go for that move up the inside, you have to be aware that the guy on the outside might not realise you're there. And we saw Jason just realise Dave was there earlier. Oh, Demon R's got to run. Oh, no, he's not. He's going for the pits. Yes, he is. He's in the pits.
He's going to come behind the pack, isn't he?
That he is. I mean, where's Dave the Harp? Because Dave the Harp was in 3rd. SGP and Jimmy, they're still battling.
Not even on the board. He must be last.
I'm not sure if he's last.
That's hay, because that's hay we can see.
Yeah, okay, so Steve F1 coming under pressure from Jimmy. This is fascinating stuff. I was going to say that I think Dave the Harp pitted at the right time. 25 minutes, doable on a set of tyres. So I think Dave has got a chance of getting to the end. Where is he? I'm still looking.
Still not on the board. There's hay going on.
I think Hay and Rich have just had a big crash. Sorry about that. Looking on the pack cam on Gary. Gary is... Demon R's in 8th place. And he's ahead of Gary. So Dave the Harp is behind Gary. I don't know if
there's Conrad as well. You can see him in the pack cam just behind Dave the Harp.
Yeah, so Connor and Dave, they're fighting still for that 3rd place position net, so to speak. But we've then got Steve F1, Jason, Jimmy, SGP have all pitted. They're now way ahead of Demon R, who has also pitted. Twilight hasn't stopped yet. I wonder if he's thinking, I'm just going to keep going. I'm just going to keep on swimming.
I'll wait till they start doing the next set of pit stops and then I'll go.
Yeah, definitely.
That's if he can hold on with the tyres though.
Well, yes. I mean, that's the thing. It's a good question. Dave Hart's really closing in on the back of Gary into toes, bringing Connor along with him. Twilight leading the way fairly comfortably. Steve F1's in a very interesting position now that if he's attacked, Twilight may be able to open the gap up. Jason's having a look, or is he defending? Maybe defending from Jimmy. To be fair, Jimmy's not usually in this kind of position, but he's definitely there today.
Yeah, he's having a cracker today. I don't know if he's having any cheese on it. The champagne. We'll wait till the end.
He may be. SGP. Going for the pits.
Again?
Is
that his second or is that his first?
That's his second pit stop. Jason's really close to the back of Steve F1. He's having a look, is he? No, you see, I don't think Jason was looking to make the overtake there. I think he was just looking to see the corner. Because if there's one thing we found in the practice session, especially through this section, Ray, when you're right up the gearbox of another car, you can't see the corners.
Unless you use a T-cam.
Well, yeah, okay, that is a good point, that is true. Admittedly, though, into this corner, I did cheekily every now and again turn in early to make the car behind me think it's time for the corner. And it turned in and hit the wall. Oh, did someone scrape the wall there? Oh!
No, Jimmy had a big slider. Oh, deep and out, pushing Bunzel along.
Yeah, unusually, Bunzel getting a bump draft. But you know what, I think this makes sense a little bit for Demon R, because right behind Demon R is Dave the Harp and Conrad. Twilight is still going. So maybe Demon R's thinking, look, a bump draft Bunzel down the straight, go for the move into one, which he's doing now. So he's maximising his speed down the straight, because if he didn't, he's going to have Dave, Conrad, Gary, Rich right behind him. Bunzel's coming back at him a little bit though, is he? No.
Yeah, he's trying to look for the switchback there, not close enough to do it.
Yeah,
well, look at this, Conrad, Dave, the Harp, and who else is in there?
Gary is in there. The interesting thing here as well is I think with Demon R, if Bunzel doesn't attack him, oh wow, hey, I think was sideways there. Yeah, so Demon R may be thinking now he might get a bump draft off Bunzel if Bunzel gets close. Connor's now got ahead of Dave the Harp. That was a little bit frantic through Nasty Car Corner there. I think Gary, Rich and maybe Hay got a little bit out of shape. I didn't see exactly what happened, but it has freed up Conrad and Dave the Harp a little bit. Here they are. I think these two could probably do with working together, you know. I think if they did that, they could be unstoppable. But I think Bunzel may have bump drafted Demon R down the main straight, but he's not attacked him into toes.
As Conrad's going for a wee switch back on Dave the Harp. These are having a cracking race. How many times they've been side by side, and oh, Dave the Harp's a wee bit rear end kicking out there.
And he was. Jason's right up Steve F1's gearbox as well. I think Jason is I think he's working with Steve F1. We saw him a couple of laps ago not attacking to one. I think they're just working together. That's allowed them to break away. What did you see? See what you see?
Conrad clipped the wall a wee bit and then went defensive, so Dave the Harp gave him a wee bump, so didn't lose up too much time. Hay and former Gary into the pits by the looks of it. Yeah,
Demon R making a move on Jimmy down in the main straight. He's already ahead. So yeah, Jason and Steve F1, I think they're working together just to try and break away from the pack and try and catch Twilight, who still has not pitted yet. We're just over halfway through this race. So I think if he was going to one-stop it, I'd have expected to see him in now. Maybe he's going to try and go the distance. Conrad making the move on Bunzel. Is Dave the Harp going to try and follow him through? I don't think he's got the space.
So he's coming back at Conrad. Oh, is Bunzel just backed out a wee bit?
Well, I think Bunzel has just found himself with Dave the Harp alongside him. I don't think he was expected to have that good a run up towards Nasty Car, and he ended up boxed in a little bit. Okay, Demon R is ahead of Jimmy, as we mentioned. Jason and Steve F1. They've not been fighting at all over the last few laps. Is Jason going to go for it? Jimmy into the pits for his second pit stop. Is Jason going for the move? No, he's not. You see, this is the signs that they're working together. Steve's gone wide. He's boosted up. Oh, Jason will say, thank you very much. I didn't know he sounded Chinese, but thank you very much.
It says, is it yeah? And that means hello as well.
Yeah. Okay, so
I can't remember.
No, neither can I. I've got so many things going through my head at the moment that I'm trying to remember.
Steve F1 gets a good X out of the last corner. This.
Bunsell just tagged the wall there. SGP has just passed Bunsell. SGP, who pitted for the second time on 18 minutes gone, is now. Steve F1's into the pits as well for a second stop. Wow.
This is who's next? Jason. If Jason pits, this is going to give Twilight the room he needs for pitting.
Yeah. Well, yeah, quite possibly. Depends on how long it's going to take. But, saying that.
Sitting into that's the corner there now.
Yeah.
And they're just coming up to that kink soon.
That they are, sorry.
For about 5 seconds.
I saw Connor, Dave and SGP all scrape the barrier on the, I think it was the exit of Toes, and they're now wobbling their way down. SGP up the inside of Dave, squeezes in between Connor and Dave, and right behind them, I think it's Rich Blues in 7th place. Yes, he is. So Steve F1 has come out of the pits. Twilight still hasn't pitted. I can't keep up with this. Somebody else is heading into...
Jason's in the pits.
Yeah, so...
Jason's just went in. So, is it this lap? Twilight's going to go in? Or is it going to wait to see what Menard does?
Well, that's the thing. SGP having a look at Conrad down into turn 1. Who's the car ahead? That's D-Menard.
D-Menard.
Wow, so SGP just tagging the side of Conrad there. So SGP has pitted twice, but he's now right behind D-Menard, just there. Twilight hasn't pitted. He's gone through Nasty Car now. I think
he's coming up. He's got 15 minutes left, so is he wanting it at the 15-minute mark so he doesn't have to worry about his tyres and he can push a wee bit more?
Maybe, or is he just going to keep going? I mean, I think he's got about...
He's
into the pits. I was going to say, I think he's got about a 15-second gap, so clearly then he thinks that the tyres wouldn't have made it to the end. Where is he going to come out? Because this could be crucial. This has been fascinating so far. I know we're not catching all the action that's going on, but how could you when all this is going on?
The pit. Marco's come up in the pit wall there. Oh, he's going to be far back.
Oh yeah, he is.
He's just coming out behind this pack. You can see his car just dropping in.
Conrad making the move on SGP through Toes. That means that D-Menard is now leader of the race, who is only a couple of seconds ahead of Conrad here. SGP behind him, who's pitted twice. He's got really fresh tyres. Dave the Harp is a couple of seconds behind. He's pitted... No, he hasn't pitted a second time. Sorry. Rich Blues has just passed Bunsell for 5th place. This is what we're seeing now. Right behind them is Twilight. Where's Steve F1? Because Steve F1 pitted for the second time, and he should be ahead of... Jay Rich! Yeah, that's a new driver, Jay Rich. Steve F1 is in 10th, and he should be ahead of Jason, because Jason pitted a lap later, and it looks like... Is that a dummy for the pit lane? I think it may have been. The SGP going for it, is he?
Yeah, into turn 1. So what line would you rather use? Would you rather use a...
Not one that hits the wall.
The low line where you're not hitting the bump as much, or have the bump help you in the turning?
Personally, I prefer the lower line. I find it means you can brake that bit later, but also it's easier to hug the inside of the corner. It's the line I preferred. Dave the Op has just smacked the barrier there on the exit of Nasty Car. That's a bit not a disaster for Dave, but because Dave's in a situation now where if he can catch back up to these two, he can get in on this fight. But if he drops away a little bit too far, he may find himself getting swamped by Twilight, who's on really fresh tyres in the background there. Weaving across the road.
He's good pack chasing him down. Remember, you know what happens sometimes when you get into the pack, you just can't get out.
Yeah, absolutely. But Gary just tagging the side of Twilight there. Steve F1 is also now on the back of Twilight. He's going for the move actually, Steve F1, as Conrad having a cheeky look at SGP as well. So this is crucial for Twilight, because if Twilight's net leader still, if anybody needs to pit from further ahead, then Steve F1 is now ahead of him.
Yeah. This is going to be interesting. It's like too many pages in a book, isn't it? They don't know
there
the story to go down. It's like something out of Sherlock Holmes chapter 1 or something.
I was going to say, it's a bit like a Quentin Tarantino film. We ain't got a fucking clue what's going on. Wait till the end. Then we might. Conrad, is he having a look around? See, Conrad's using that high line, but he's then using it to slow down and do a switchback. It's working for him. But it's not the line, excuse me, itchy nose, it's not the line I personally would take. What is fascinating though is we've now here got Steve F1, Twilight, Jason in that battle with formerly Gary, Jimmy. I mean, literally the whole pack is here. There's one car further back, but that's a car that's pitted recently. This is fascinating stuff, absolutely fascinating. Are people going to work together? Because I think if anybody in this pack wants to break away, I think they're going to need a bit of help. You've just gone dead quiet. I think your microphone just died.
Sorry. Yeah, Twilight and Steve F1 need to work together to try and get away, but I don't know, are they going to hold off Jason here?
Well, Jason...
That's a fine.
May come under a bit of pressure here from Gary. Jason covering that inside line. That's the other thing I like about the inside line is you can sort of defend from it. Although Jimmy has just driven all the way around the outside of Jason. Nice move, Jimmy. Nice move. Jason, he didn't like it, did he? He's now got Gary attacking him as well.
He's working with Conrad to try and catch Demon R. Just watch them give him a wee love tap in the arse.
And the thing is, it makes sense for them. I think Jason got a bit deep there. Jimmy got a bit out of shape as well. But yeah, it would make sense for SGP and Conrad to work together to try and close the gap to Demon R. Or Jimmy trying to go around the outside of Jason again, because Demon R is within reach. Hey, he's got a run on Jimmy, but Jimmy's got slipstream. Is he going to give Jason a bump draft? It looks like it, he is, yeah.
Oh no, he's further back.
I think Hay may have backed out of it a little bit there. Okay, oh wow, so many cars so close together. This is absolutely fascinating stuff. Demon R still leading the way now with Conrad and SGP. I mean, they're only a couple of seconds behind him. This is, Gary, that's the wall. That's unlucky, collected Bunsell and Hay, I think. Yeah, he did. That's just unfortunate. As they make their way down towards Nasty Car. Jimmy now going a little bit defensive.
I think he was trying to get the move done on Jason, and then he's compromised. Well, I was going to say compromised his exit, but Jason isn't near him.
No, that's true.
Gary's coming round.
That he is. SGP bump drafting Conrad once again. Makes sense as we now about 5 or 6 wide. 3, 2, 1. Not bad actually, you know what, it's quite tidy through there. Not easy to do when you've got multiple cars coming from multiple directions. You mentioned about 10 minutes ago, Ray, about pitting and ending up in the pack and not being able to get out of it. I fear Jason's in that situation at the moment.
Don't get me wrong, Twilight and Steve F1 aren't that safe, because they're just not that... They're, less than a second ahead of them?
Yeah, a couple of car lengths ahead. They're within slipstream range. I think Twilight needs to sort of bump draft Steve F1. If he does that, they can break away. Because these guys, while these guys are fighting, they're losing a lot of time.
Toilet pose. David Harp.
Yeah, David Harp into the pit. I'm wondering if he was feeling that his tyres weren't going to make it. Also, the pack would appear to have been closing in on them. Twilight! I think that was Twilight wanting his high line, but Steve F1 was up there. I think Steve F1 went to turn in, but Twilight was there. And that's what I was on about, where you have to be careful. But yeah, I think, in a way, I think if anyone behind Jason was to just bump draft Jason, they'd latch back onto these two.
Yeah. And these two don't want to start fighting again, because... it's just going to put them right in there.
Absolutely.
We see that SGP and Conrad are still working together. They're not really gaining that much on Demon R as well. I've been watching the track map, and the gaps kind of just staying there.
I don't know. You know what? It's looking a bit closer on this occasion. Let's check that gap. I think it's under 2 seconds. Twilight, I mean, I think it's fair to say that SGP and Conrad have definitely broken away from Twilight at the moment, from this 4th place battle. But this will be fascinating. Or Jason's broke away from the cars behind as well. If he starts bump drafting, if we get a triple bump draft, this could be interesting.
Was that the rear car hits the middle car and middle car hits the front car? Are we spit roast?
Oh yeah, you know, these guys are closing in on Demon R. They really are closer now. He's kind of a bit wide there, or he may have just scraped the barrier a little bit. SGP could have a run, unless he's just going to go for the bump drafting. Twilight still in 4th place. Let's see, is SGP going to go for the move? Not yet. By the looks of it, is Steve F1 going to bump draft Twilight? So many questions, and not long to wait for the answers as we get down to toes.
Steve F1, yep, he's bump draft and Twilight.
That he is. I really do think Conrad and SGP are closing in on Demon R. Let's not forget as well that SGP's tyres are fresher as Rich is in a battle with Gary and Jimmy. But this is mental though. Leaders just
right behind.
Yeah. Well, we've got the leaders come through the shot, and then the pack come through the shot. We've got 3 cars that are a bit further back, but excuse me. Yeah, they've just pitted, and I just involuntarily burped. So those cars that have pitted, they'll catch back up pretty quickly. I mean, we've got, 6.5 minutes left of this race, so there's still plenty of laps to go, about 7 laps to go. Fascinating stuff going on.
Working this space, this gap, he's just working it. That's staying about 2 seconds or just under 2 seconds. Yeah. So he's just working the gap there now.
It would beg the question, how is one car on their own able to keep the gap when 2 cars are working together? Well, Conrad's gone wide, that's the wall, is it? Yes, SGP. I don't know if he was planning on making that move, but he's gone for it anyway. And SGP with his slightly fresher tyres, maybe he can pull away a little bit now from Conrad. He's got a chance.
Yeah. Look at that, because Conrad having that little mistake. Look how much he's managed to pull away. It's 3-4 car lengths.
Oh, he's gone deep! He's gone deep! He scraped the barrier! Oh, you!
It's just going to let Conrad get back past him, and this is going to let Demon R just get that advantage on the gap. But yeah, we can see it's opened up.
It's nearly doubled the gap. Oh, you know what? The pack's closing in on him!
Yeah,
the pack's closing in on him!
Oh, this is going to be some finish if they all close up.
Oh, SGP's not bump drafting anymore, is he? Oh, bit of contact.
Yeah.
Go on.
That was a push to pass.
Yeah.
Twilight's not that far back.
Oh, he's really closed that gap in, hasn't he? Actually, I think Twilight and Steve F1 have been working together. They've not, by working together, I mean, they've not been attacking each other. That's allowed them to close the gap. Jason is a little bit in no man's land. Oh, Jimmy nearly closed that, though. So Jason's just ahead of Jimmy, got enough of a gap there, just behind Steve F1. This is fascinating stuff. Demon R has definitely opened us. Well, it's not Demon R that's opened the gap.
What clock is it? The left hand?
The left hand clock.
4 minutes to go.
Yeah, 4 minutes to go in this race. SGP's far enough ahead of Conrad that Conrad can't attack. Demon are still within range for these guys to attack. As on the pack cam, Gary making a move on Jimmy. Gary, Jimmy and Rich have been having a great battle for the last few laps on the pack cam.
Oh. He's not holding back. He's going for it. Is he going to get it? He's going to be on the outside for this kink, which is going to give half a car length towards SGP.
Yeah, that it is. SGP, I mean, fair play. SGP didn't just sweep. Oh, Dave the Art was just wobbling across the road. I think you may have got a bit of a tag there. Your microphone just broke up again. I didn't hear you.
Look who's behind.
Oh, I think you said, look who's behind them. It's weird. When you get excited, your microphone is cutting you out.
It's Pete then.
Yeah. Twilight's on Conrad. I think that's what you were saying, that Twilight's on Conrad. Yes, he is. Oh, I don't think Twilight's going to be bump drafted here, is he? Holy cow, the pack is there as well. Everybody's on the main straight. Holy crap. Is anybody going for a move? No. Is Twilight going to go for a switchback? Steve F1 is right there as well. Conrad trying to go for a switchback. Holy crap, this is like commentating on horse racing. Bunts look like that.
If I was Twilight, I'd be sticking in behind the SGP, ready for this curve before the nasty car corner, because you're going, oh, it's Steve F1, where did he come from?
That's not what I was in that, but I think just seeing Dave the Harp and Gary get a little bit closer. Gary ended up in the barrier. Conrad going for the move into nasty car. Is he going to clear the barrier? No, he's a little bit sideways though. That'll compromise him. Dave the Harp's made the move on Jimmy as well. The 2x2 down the straight. This is not going to be fast for them. Demon R will be loving this. Okay, is Twilight going to bump draft? If he doesn't bump draft, he's going to get mugged. Steve F1 is in a tricky situation. He's got no one bump drafting him yet, but SG, no, Twilight's tucked in behind him. Holy cow. Oh, this is interesting.
Well, he's going for his high ground, but he's going to leave that door open and everybody's going to come through.
Yeah, you're right. SGP backed out of it to take the title line. Conrad's on the outside. Steve F1 holds on. Oh, spinner.
Sideways.
I didn't see who it was, but yeah, he's spun around as they go through the kink. This is absolutely fantastic. Oh, Twilight's a wall there. Oh no, he may have just compromised himself a little bit and held up everyone behind him. And now Jason, how is Jason in third? Oh, Jimmy's into the barrier. And so was that Dave the Harp. Dave the Harp was into the barrier, ghosted. Dave's plummeted. Oh no, what has happened to Dave? Oh,
the 2 minutes to go. This is getting very feisty.
Take a breath.
Jason's in third place. What happened to Twilight?
Well, I mentioned it looked like Twilight tagged the wall at one point, didn't
Jason.
it? He is, yeah. So
Jason.
he's still there as Steve F1 takes his line into toes. Twilight. Oh, Jimmy, big sideways. Dave the Harp is still going, and I'm hearing that his steering wheel became detached, and you can't go round corners with no steering wheel attached. Oh, and he's hit the wall.
He's hit the wall again.
Okay, you can go round corners without a steering wheel attached. You just end up hitting walls.
That's unlucky.
Yeah, that it is. Oh, you know what, Ray? I think we're about to be starting the last lap of the race. Yes, we are.
30 seconds.
Oh. Right, take a breath. So, Demon R leading the way. He's now got a healthy gap to Steve F1, who's got Jason right behind him. Twilight is still there. Steve F1 does not want the battle here, does he? So Twilight's still there. SGP's still there as well. Conrad, he's now in 6th place. He's got Jimmy on the pack cam, charging him down. Is Jason getting close to Steve F1? This is the crucial lap now. Steve F1... your microphone's... You got the line on Conrad.
Yeah, Jimmy took a line on Conrad to get past Conrad.
Got you.
As we can see in the pack cam.
Okay, is Jason going to go for the move? He's having a look. He's weaving around. He's trying to get Steve F1 to make a mistake. Demon R goes through nasty car corner for the final time. Steve F1 is still ahead of Jason, I believe, looking at the time in Tower. Oh, it looks like that Demon R is going to take the victory. Oh, we've got a spinner. Conrad is around. Oh dear, Demon R is going to take the win. Well, what is it? What's going on with Steve? I don't care about first. Bugger off. Oh, Jason's pulled out. It's side by side. Across the line they go, and Steve F1 has held on to it. Twilight is going to cross the line in 4th. SGP in 5th. Holy cow, 4 wide across the line there. That couldn't have been much closer. Oh, Dave the Harp's going to finish in 11th, and Connor, disaster for Connor. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. I wasn't really looking, I just saw the aftermath of it, but I'm hearing, it sounds like...
Jimmy hit the wall on the exit of Nasty Car Corner, and Conrad just clipped his back quarter and it spun Conrad.
Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Absolute disaster for Conrad, that then. I mean, he's in the championship fight, and he was having a great race. Wow, what can I say about that? I've got to say, that was absolutely brilliant to watch. That really was. Do you remember when James Mace said that his balls were tingling? It's kind of like that. I got a tingling going up my back. But yeah, absolutely phenomenal race there. I mean, I don't know if I can. I'm going to need to lie down after this. Yeah. What'd you say about that one then?
Oh, that was fantastic racing. Shame about the Jimmy hitting the wall and Conrad having a wee bit of contact that spun Conrad. Nothing MD could do about it. But yeah, fantastic racing.
Well, I mean, yeah, it definitely was. I mean, we said last week that things will happen in that last corner. In the penultimate corner in Nasty Car. It's just the nature of that corner, and it's absolutely unlucky that when Jimmy's in the wall, that's collected Conrad. I've not really had much of a look at it. Maybe something we can have a look at on next week's G-Spot, because I think it's one of those things where I don't think there would have been much that Jimmy could have done about that, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, we did see that there were a few crashes throughout the race. We didn't always get to see exactly what had happened. I saw a few cars sort of spinning around, but given the nature of the track, narrow-ish on parts, a couple of sticky out walls, and what we tend to find, or I tend to see, is when cars get side by side and they're trying to give each other plenty of space, which is what we want them to do, sometimes they can, unfortunately, in giving space, end up wider on the track than they wanted to be and ending up in the wall. It's so easy to do. That's one of those things where I've always said I don't really mind when crashes happen, when you see people trying to do things like give the room, give the space. Like if you're going side by side with someone and they go on the they're on the outside of the corner and they go on the outside to give you space all the way and then hit something on the edge of the track and crash into you, it'd be a bit harsh to give a bit of grip, bit of jip for it. But anyway, that's by the way. So yeah, as for the race, Demon R back-to-back wins now. I don't know if it's going to be enough for him to pass Steve F1 for the lead of the championship, because Steve F1 somehow ended up second in that race, with Jason so close to stealing third place off him. And actually, you know what, Ray? Just so you'll know exactly how close it was, I will share with you now the timing screen results. I didn't do it before the race because obviously you weren't there, and I wanted this all to be a nice surprise for you. Oh,
thank you.
You're welcome. So now you'll be able to see just how close the gaps were at the finish of the race. Now, for anybody else no one else can see this, but so Demon R takes the victory. Well done to him. Steve F1 3 seconds behind. The gap between him and Jason 0.016. So not even a quarter of a... Well, no, it's not even a quarter of a second. It's not even a tenth of a second. It's not even a quarter of a tenth of a second. Yeah, that, I mean, it's close. Basically 3.016 for Steve F1 and plus 3.038 for Jason. That was phenomenal. Fair play. I think either one of them, you could say, deserved second place there. Twilight, though, I don't know.
I'm lucky for him. I think it was just the timing of his pits and it put him in the pack, and he just couldn't get away. Even when he was working with Steve F1, he just couldn't get away. And then did they not clip the wall or go?
I think he did. I think he clipped the wall when like the whole pack was bunched up. So when he clipped the wall, I think he got mobbed a little bit. So yeah, I mean, to be fair, Twilight in the first 25 minutes of the race showed exactly why he is a current DGT champion. Unfortunately, I think you're right. The timing of his pit stop it was unfortunate. I mean, I'm guessing he always planned on pitting, but he decided to go long and have the fresher tyres at the end. Unfortunately, it's not worked for him. I mean, I think if he'd have pitted any time within 2 or 3 laps of Demon R, I think he's there for the win. He's got a chance of the win because he'd have had a bit of boost, caught back up a bit, and yeah, it would have been fascinating. Because let's not forget that I'm pretty sure after Twilight pitted, other cars still pitted. So I think SGP might have pitted again. Dave the Heart pitted again. So yeah, unfortunate for Twilight that time's there. But on the other hand, a bloody brilliant result to finish in 4th place.
Yeah, it was fantastic racing. SGP, where did he start again?
I think he started about 4th, but I think he did 3 pit stops.
Yeah, he started 4th. Done. Did he do 3? I know I've seen 2. I can't remember if he done the 3rd one.
Yeah, he did 3. Pretty sure he did 3.
But he was with Steve F1 at one point.
Yeah.
And
well, let's
what happened?
Well, yeah, him and Conrad were running 2nd and 3rd, weren't they?
Yeah.
I mean, I've got to say, yeah, massively unlucky to Conrad. I mean, basically, with Conrad and SGP, they were running 2nd and 3rd. They were closing in on Demon R. And then I think, unfortunately, Connor went a little bit wide at turn 1. And that's when I think SGP decided, right, I'm going to go for it now. And I'm going to try and catch Demon R. But unfortunately, SGP then collected the barrier in Nasty Car Corner. So that then put him behind. So instead, see, if SGP had not done that, Conrad would have been able to potentially catch up to him, bump draft him a bit, and between the two of them, they wouldn't have lost much time. But because Connor had lost time at the first corner and then SGP lost time at the last corner, Connor comes back past SGP, but they both lost time to Demon R, so it cost him a couple of seconds. So massively unfortunate for those two, because I think if either one of them doesn't collect the barrier on that occasion, I think they get very close to Demon R towards the end of that race, because they got the gap down. If they'd have got the gap down to a second, I think they'd have got Demon R, to be honest. But yeah, once they lost that little bit of time, and then Twilight says, "Hello, I'm behind you, and I've got everybody with me." Yeah, it all went.
The pants just dropped and the bums tightened.
Yeah. I mean, from then on, anything could have happened. I don't mean that in a bad way. I just mean when you got that many cars that close together, who's going to bump draft who? Who's going to get unlucky? Who's going to get lucky? I mean, let's not forget.
Who's going to attack who, and then the person behind ends up trying to attack the car at front that's already trying to attack. It just makes it harder. And it slows them down. Absolutely.
And let's not forget as well, with about 10 minutes to go, we did say that Jason was stuck in the pack around about 7th or 8th place. And somehow he's ended up in 3rd. I mean, so that's how much things can change around. Jimmy, he's finished in 6th place. I mean, this is how close it was as well. 6th, 7th, 8th, 9th and 10th all finished 7 seconds behind the leader. So
all within a second.
Well, all within 0.6 of a second from 6th to 10th. So Jimmy was 0.5 ahead of Hay, which is nothing. So we got Hay on 0.837, Gary on 0.850, Rich on 0.869, And then Bunsell on 0.996. You couldn't ask for it to be much closer there. So an absolutely brilliant finish for Jimmy, Hay, Gary, Rich, and Bunsell there. Jimmy, I don't know. Well, you know what? Jimmy seemed to appear in the top 4 or 5 a few times. It looked like he was having a very good race. Connor might disagree.
I remember he done that move out
around the outside of Jason.
Yeah.
I think we might have to G-spot that and actually check if he actually whether he actually did it or not. But yeah, I mean, yeah, Jimmy seems to have had a very good race. Massively unlucky at the end. And let's not forget as well, Jimmy tagging the barrier on that last lap would have lost him any chance of gaining on the likes of SGP. Excuse me for the sniffles. Gary's had a good race again. Hayes had a good race. Rich had a good race, couple of spins. Bunsell, I'm surprised Bunsel's ended up in 10th because he loves oval track racing, but I am pretty sure he thoroughly loved this race. David Hart, though, finishing 11th. How unfortunate can you be for Dave? I mean, with his wheel disconnecting, 2 laps to go? Yeah, not a lot he can do about that. No blame to be put on anybody else for that. But massively unlucky for Dave the Hart.
Yeah, and Conrad, an unlucky bit of contact at the last corner that sent him into a spin. I don't think there was anything the pair of them could do to avoid it. Yeah. It's like when you've got your line round the corner and you put more steering lock, you're going to understeer straight. And I think the timing of Conrad coming out the corner and Jimmy hitting the wall, there was nothing they could do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's one of those. Like I say, I've only had a quick look at it with what happened on the screen, but I mean, I will have a look at it in more detail at some point. Maybe we will G-spot it, because the interesting thing for me is that it's like if you're the car ahead and you hit the wall, there's a good chance that you're gonna, if you hit it hard, you're gonna bounce off the wall, and you may be moved across the track. Or if you hit it and think, oh crap, I don't want to be in the way of cars behind, I'll move out of the way. If they're taking evasive already, you may have unfortunately moved in their way. And if you're coming around the corner and you're seeing someone maybe going to hit the wall, chances are you might take that tighter line, but if they then bounce off the wall, it can be very unfortunate. Okay, on that, I mean, yeah, it is disaster. I mean, we said last week about how one person's race, Gary would have had a good race because he had a strong end to the race. Conrad has had an absolute belter of a race here, but he's going to be absolutely fuming because it's ended so badly for him and through no fault of his own. I mean, through no fault of anyone else that I know of, but that's racing. Sometimes it can be. I mean, like Dave the Harp last week had a brilliant race and then wouldn't have been happy with how it may have ended up. This week he's had a brilliant race, not happy with how it's ended up, but would be happier than last week because of how this race has ended for him. For the likes of Gary and Rich, though, and Bunsell, their finishing position now with Dave the Harp might mean that Rich and Bunsell could be ahead of Dave the Harp. Sorry to rub salt in the wound here, Dave, but Rich and Bunsell might be ahead of you in the standings. It's going to be very interesting to check that out. One more thing I will say is, what do you call shorts that clouds wear? Thunderwear!
Oh,
yeah. What do you call a dog that's a magician? A labracadabrador!
Oh, Jesus.
You laughed. You laughed at that one. Hang on, there's more. There's more. You got to let me finish the ones on this page.
Wait. And to your first question, the reason that, well, fish do die, but it's only if they're at the surface and within a couple of meters of the lightning strike, because the sea is a very good conductor, and because it contains salt, and rather than creating a direct narrow path, concentrating the punch, the charge from the lightning strike spreads out sideways and downwards in an expanding half sphere from the surface.
Yeah, but you've been waiting since the first 5 minutes to get there.
Yeah. So instead of a direct hit, it spreads it out. So, but if fish are at the surface, then they will be killed.
Okay, well, what do you call a fish with no eyes?
You wonder why I take a drink.
Yeah. What do you call a row of rabbits hopping away? A receding hairline.
Jesus.
Oh, actually, you know how we were joking a bit about like forgetting what the Swedish words are for stuff? Because Jason's Swedish, obviously. What's the Dutch word for a bra?
Oh.
Stop 'em from flop 'em.
What?
Stop 'em from flop 'em.
Alright. How do you get these things?
Well, that one was from SGP.
Any guys with decent jokes or ladies with decent jokes, send them into the page.
Yep.
Instead of put me out my misery, get me a good one. Get somebody to give me a good one.
Don't send reports, send jokes. Okay, finally then, what do you call the lights on Noah's Ark? Floodlights!
What's
that? Right, and on that bombshell, should we have a look at the confirmed race result of the championship standings? No, before we do, next week's track. Sorry, I forgot that. Yeah, next week's track. I've decided to make this a bit more of a feature of the end of race chat rather than me just mentioning it before the end of the video. So, insert image of next week's track. Sardegna B, 2.42 miles in length, 13 turns, a couple of corners already got names. Now, for anyone that's thinking, didn't we just race at Sardegna? Yes, but it was Sardegna C. So a couple of differences to that, being the main straight is the same, turn 1 and 2 are the same, but the rest of the track is then different. So corner names, turn 3 is before ball bags, because on a different version of this track, the longer one, there is a chicane called ball bags, so this is before that corner, so it's called before ball bags. We've got Bobbins Bowl a little later on. I don't know why I've called it that, I can't remember. And then we've got Snowmiz Chicane, and if anybody has worked out why that's called Snowmiz Chicane, feel free to pop that in the messages with your jokes. Have you got any guesses as to why it's Snowmiz Chicane, Ray?
Oh, miss it or something? I don't know. No. It's a weird chicane, isn't it? Because...
I'm laughing. Okay, I'm going to tell you in a second why it's called Snowmiz, but carry on. It's a weird chicane.
Because when you're coming down the straight there, and then you've got to flick it left and then right, but the vehicle seems to slide about a wee bit. Do you need to go a wee bit slower? Snowmiz? I don't know.
Well, on another version of this track, driven in the other direction, where you go down the main straight and then into a flat out left-hander, that corner
you hit the wall.
Yeah, you hit the wall.
Jason.
No, it was called Haze.
It's called what?
Haze.
Haze?
Yeah. Now we're going in a different direction, and it's a different version of the corner. So it's backwards Simon.
So it is.
So it is, yeah. Or Snummies is. So when you said it's a weird chicane, that's not a nice way to speak about Snowmies. But yeah, okay. I mean, that one thing I will say is that track very different to the track we've just raced on here.
Iron Deck.
Oh,
gonna be.
I think it's going to be through the roof. Although this car doesn't have a roof.
You've got a couple of 1, 2, 3, 4 braking points that are going to be quite strong.
Yeah, well, the thing is as well, what this picture doesn't show is the elevation changes. There is a big elevation change from turn 4, the corner after Borbags. A big elevation change from turn 4 to turn 5, down to 6, 7, and then to the Bobbins Bowl. The Bobbins Bowl is at the bottom of, it's a hairpin at the bottom of the hill, so it's steep uphill, and then the sort of triple left-hander, which is a very fast set of corners, surprisingly. That's going to absolutely kill tyres. And then, as you said, we're into the final chicane, the weird chicane, because it is a weird chicane. You can really go fast into it, but if you do, you're probably going to hit the wall. If you get it right, it's a beautiful set of corners, but get it wrong, and you could easily find yourself drifting sideways through those corners, and that will compromise you big time. Also, if you really cock it up, you could find yourself spinning into the pit lane.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting.
Well, yeah, it is going to be interesting, hopefully. I mean, it will be interesting to see what happens at that track, that's for certain. Okay, so I think we'll get ready in a second to check out the details that we need to see. I will mention as well, though, feel free to check out the Dynamic GT League merch, which is available. Link is in the description. There is lots of things that are available to you. Hats, caps. I nearly said cats. Cats. There are no pets. There are no animals. But there's lots of different things. T-shirts, hoodies, dressers, bras, sports bras, dressers, leggings, mugs, bath towels.
It's been not on bras. Has that been SGP?
Well, I might have to buy him a birthday present.
When's it his birthday?
Not for a few months, 6 months.
6 months.
Yeah.
Get it in advance. You can't get it in Vans, but if his cup size changes.
Well, at least I know he can't get me one without me knowing. Unless he gets it elsewhere, and then I'll be offended. But yeah, if anybody does want merch, we can custom make stuff for you, so feel free to get in touch with that one. And just before you go, Ray, I just want to tell a little sad story before we end, which was yeah, I mean, January can sometimes be a very difficult month for people. It's after Christmas, and it makes things sad. People can get depressed a bit, and I'm one of those people, because it reminds me of when I was little, and my little brother won a goldfish, and the next morning he was floated dead in his little pond. I was devastated, so I had to look after the fish. Silence from Ray.
And on that bombshell, they'll go to those championship standings.
So, confirmation of race 3's result then, and no reports were placed, so no penalties given out, so well done everybody. Demon R finishing in first place, maximum 20 points, Steve F1 in second, just ahead of Jason in third. Twilight held on for fourth place with SGP not too far behind in fifth. Jimmy finished in 6th place, just ahead, literally just ahead of Hay in 7th, just ahead of Gary in 8th, and Rich Blues in 9th, and Bunsell in 10th, and then unfortunately Dave the Harp in 11th. With his disconnection of the wheel, and Conrad in 12th, as we saw on the footage. Massively unfortunate for the both of those two. But what I will say, no penalties to deduct from anybody from this race, so that probably means next week there's going to be loads of penalties. But it does mean we haven't really got anything to have a look at the G-Spot next week, unless we find something really random. So yeah, any suggestions, feel free to drop us a message. Okay, let's have a look then at what that has done to the championship standings. Steve F1 then still leading the way, but only by 1 point now to Demon R, who moves into 2nd place. SGP moves up to 3rd, 14 behind the leaders, or leader should I say. Conrad drops down to 4th place on 37 points. He's 17 behind. He's not out of it though. Anything can happen, like we saw in the last championship. Twilight's in 5th place on 36 points, only 1 behind Conrad. And then Jason, who's jumped up to 6th place on 29 points, and he's now 5 ahead of Rich Blues and formerly Gary, who had tied 7th place, both on 24 points. A great result for the both of them. Bunsell, he's in 9th place on 23 points, only 1 behind. They're tied for 7s. And then we've got Dave the Harp, drops down to 10th place on 22 points, but definitely still in the fight. Hay, he's tied with Jimmy in 11th place, both of those guys on 17 points. And they are 6 ahead of SRI, who drops down to 13th, with him not being able to race. So 13th place for him on 11 points. Then we've got Mitch drops to 14th on 10 points. Fluffy in 15th on 7. And Art Powell on 0. But as I mentioned, may not be able to make any of the races in this particular championship. Okay, things definitely heating up at the front and the middle and at the bottom. And that's just me after dinner. I think it might be time to end this one there. So have a good one, everybody. Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. Hit that like if you want. Well, hit the like if you like. Hit the subscribe if you want to subscribe, and hit the notifications bell if you haven't already hit it. If you have already hit it, don't hit it again, because then you deactivate your notifications. Okay? Have a good one, everybody, and we'll see you all again soon.